And welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. On today's episode, I just have to kind of tighten up a few loose ends that we forgot to do during the live. One of those being the giveaway. One of the things was Ryan had to leave short. He was only going to be there for about 2 hours. So at the end of that live, got pretty hectic. It was a lot of fun. We had Gem Mint Pokemon join. We had King Pokemon join. Obviously, myself, Ryan, Rattle, Z and G joined. It was a pretty fun chat, and then Nick Old School Pokemon is always fun to have in. And one of the things I really liked about that chat was when you look back on this hobby, we talk about like the past and we think about the past in just the context of history, right? And we always think about the past being long ago in the past. And in the hobby, Pokemon in reality is not that old of a hobby. We're talking a hobby that's 25 years old. And for a large part of this hobby, like we just weren't in Pokemon. Maybe we were there for 99, 2000, 2001, depending on, when you were at your prime, call it Pokemon growing up years, like fifth grade, fourth grade, sixth grade. So we lose track of like a pretty large area of this hobby from 99 to whenever people got back, whether you got back in 2010 or 2015 or 2016, 2022, whatever. We lose track a little bit of that history. So it's always fascinating to get people on who were in the hobby throughout it all. And King Pokemon is one of the very few people who has been in the hobby throughout it all. And I think we lose context of that a little bit. And I know that there's some people out there who have like, they don't like Gary for whatever reason, but all the conversations, all the interactions I've ever had with Gary seems like a great dude. He is an open book. He doesn't really hold much back, and he really lets you guys know like a lot of information that none of us really know, and has a perspective in this hobby that almost no one can relate to. When he talks about going to the actual Wizard of the Coast facility in 1999 and loading up a half a trunk of, base set boxes, whether it was base set jungle fossil, for me in 99, I was collecting Pokemon, but my mom was buying me packs at Toys R Us. We weren't loading up trunks worth of boxes. So to get that perspective, and he talks about sending unlimited hollows to Wizard of the Coast that maybe had like some damage to them, even though they were still packed fresh. And then in return, Wizard of the Coast would send him shadowless cards, and how he had to fight with PSA for PSA, even the recognized, shadowless variants. They were just going to list them all as, Pokemon game 1999 and no variant there. And he had to fight for that. So it puts it in perspective. And even when you listen to Nick Old School Pokemon, who joined the hobby, rejoined the hobby in 2009, or you listen to Gem Mint Pokemon and everything he's done, and history deserves to be remembered. And that's one of the things that I'm trying my best on this channel to really bring that to light. And if you look in the description of my video, since the very beginning, since the first day I ever created my channel, if you go to like the about section, you'll see one line that I wrote the very first day that I made this channel. And that line states something really simple. It says, understanding Pokemon's future by studying its past. And it's been that comment's been there from the first day I've made this channel, and it's still there today. And I really stand by that. I think in order to understand Pokemon's future, you need to know its past. And there's only there's the true handful of people that can really put to light the past of Pokemon and put it in a sense that, people can relate to. Because like I said, it was just a different time. And sometimes it is hard to get that perspective. So I'm loving that. And one of the things that the podcast with, Cool Trainer Ryan, Rattle, and myself are doing is we tried a very new tactic, which to my understanding has never been attempted before. And it's pretty simple. There are a very few handful of people in this hobby, probably all of them, their names. And there's a couple people in this hobby who we've given like unlimited invites to, meaning on our monthly podcasts, we're no longer like sending these guys formal invites. Maybe we'll give them like a heads up, like hey, we'll be live on whatever date at this time. It's always after Rattle's premiere. Maybe we'll give them a heads up, but more or less, it's going to be an open door policy on that podcast, meaning if that week they want to join, they're always welcome. And if they don't want to join, doesn't matter. They're still welcome the following month and the month after that. It's just, instead of having to track certain people down every month and being like, hey, will you come on? It's just that it's an open door policy. And to my understanding, I don't know if anybody has ever attempted a true 100% open door policy on a podcast to a certain group of people. So that's what we're doing. And we'll see how it, works out. Hopefully people will take that as, at face value. What that is just an open invite that doesn't have an expiration date, and they will just decide to join whenever they want. Or if maybe during our podcast, let's say they're at home and we start talking about a certain subject, and maybe it's a subject that's very interesting to them, and maybe they could bring a lot to the table. So they want to come and on and just talk about maybe one topic that we discussed that night, come on, put in their few cents, and then they're like, all right, guys, that's all I came on to say. And then they could leave, and then just have people constantly rotating in and out of a live, because our lives could go on for a long time, between 2 hours and 5+ hours. So that could be really tough for people to be able to join and stick around for the whole thing. But we want to create this thing where that's not the expectation. The expectation is not for people to stick around for the whole time. And yeah, it grew out of not not from Friday's lives, but more from the month before, because it was just this crazy cool organic thing. Like, it started with Rusty TCA Gaming, and then by the end of that, he had already left, but like the amount of people and different people in the hobby that joined was just like this absolute thing of magic. So we're tweaking it, and we'll figure out like what's the perfect formula, perfect recipe, but we're still working on it. But it'll always be, at least at a minimum, me, Ryan, and Rattle. So, but it kind of goes into now like the community aspect of Pokemon. And it's something that I want to talk about a little bit in today's video, because when you look at like the future of Pokemon, whether that's from a collectability standpoint, a financial standpoint, an investability standpoint, like, in order for some of those things to happen, one of the big things that also needs to happen is the community needs to grow. The community cannot really shrink too much. It could shrink a little bit, and I think of, when I say the hobby shrinks, I'm thinking like consolidation of people. But in order for Pokemon to really grow in the future is that community aspect. And one of the things that I found extremely interesting and extremely fascinating is the community aspect of this hobby. In reality, to really be part of this community and dive super deep into this community, it doesn't take much time. There's a lot of people who joined this hobby in 2020, 2021, and they have really, really, really grown to be some awesome people, awesome collectors, have within this community created their own niches. Some people have started their own channels, some people have started their own Instagram pages, some people have started their own Twitter pages. Like, you're watching this community and this hobby continue to grow, and that is freaking fantastic. Now, there are definitely a few people out there that are still and again, this is personal opinion, like, some people I would still consider maybe on the little toxic side of this hobby. And maybe some people think that of me. Maybe some people say, PK, you have a toxic channel. And I think that's good too, because then one of the most important things too is for people to grow in this hobby, have to be free thinkers as well. And one of the things I always say is, one of the best compliments people could give me is, to disagree with me. I guess the only thing I do ask is, there is a fine line from disagreeing with somebody and then being disrespectful to some people. Like, trust me, I've had some people in the comment section of my videos call me like the C word. Yes, the C word. I've had to like, delete a few of those comments where people have, and again, I just said I like when people disagree with me, but like to a point. And I think that becomes like just being respectful to each other, and not trying like to really like tear people down, which I think sometimes that happens. But for the most part, I think this community is freaking fantastic. And one of the things I'm looking forward to is Denver. And for you guys that don't know, that's just Denver Collecticon. It's something I'm extremely excited to go to. I had a ton of fun at Leonhardt's Pop Shop, meeting up with Rock Pokemon, basic trainer, two of my favorite people in the hobby. And now going to Denver, being able to meet what it's like turning out to be a huge like meetup event for a lot of people. And when I say a meetup for a lot of people, I'm talking about within our like close knit community, because yeah, we are on YouTube, and there's a lot of people constantly throughout the chats. I see a lot of familiar names, through different lives and stuff, especially a lot of familiar faces, people that I'm getting to really know really well on personal levels. And it's going to be really exciting to meet a lot of these people in person. I see Rattle Pokemons in the chat. Like, let's all please ask Rattle to please go to Denver, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who would like to meet Rattle. And I know I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of you guys. And I've never met Rattle in person. So that's something we really got to kind of push Rattle in the right direction. But and one of the things I want to do too while I'm at Denver is I want to, because I've never been to a Collecticon. This is actually my first ever Collecticon I've been to. I've been to like card shows in the past, but always card shows are usually extremely heavy towards sports, almost nothing for Pokemon. And when there is Pokemon, the only thing sometimes these vendors seem to have are like Charizards, and they're just crazy overpriced and a lot of like products that I'm not really searching after. So I always kind of stay away from those shows, but I'm looking forward to Collecticon because it is such a heavily Pokemon focused event. And one of the things I want to do is, see what people are selling and see how it's selling, because from what I've heard other people say, listening to people have conversations, it seems that a lot of the products are selling are relatively modern stuff, like well priced sealed product is selling relatively easy. Like Nick Old School Pokemon said he priced Chill and Rain at like $3, and or Chill and Rain and Battle Styles at $3. Like Vivid Voltage at $4, and maybe like Evolving Skies at $5, and he was selling out of those like instantly. Now, I have a ton of sealed product that at $3, $4, $5 a pack, like I can make an absolute killing if they are really selling that easy. So like that's something maybe I would want to do. But in order for me to ever do a Collecticon, I would need to go. And another thing I heard people say was, some of these lower end slabs are selling. What I've heard a lot of people saying is like the sweet spot for a lot of these slabs are between $20 and like $400. So if you have a lot of sweet spots for slabs between 20 and 400, like right now, I am not sitting on a ton of that inventory per se, but I'm sitting on a ton of cards that would be worth it to have graded to get between that sweet spot of that 20 and 400. And if that's the case, like in the future, I could definitely see myself potentially vending. Really, to make that worth it, it would have to be within driving distance, like, because to sell, like modern products or sell some of what I would consider the more bulkier type stuff. And again, is $400 card bulky? No, probably not. But I would say anything between like maybe $20 and $100 could be considered more on the bulkier end. And that's a lot of the stuff that's not worth to sell on eBay. Sell it on eBay, you're looking at $4.50 for shipping for a first class envelope, packing supplies, and eBay fees and all that stuff. Like it could eat up. But if, maybe that's something I would do in the future, just be able to sell. And then plus I'm looking at the price of my Collecticon ticket, for the VIP pass, and I'm going to buy, like, it's still over $100 for the 2 days. And then I look at the price for a table and all this stuff, and I'm like, maybe this is something I would want to do in the future, because right now I know I have a ton of inventory that I could bring to a Collecticon event. And I'm looking at some of the videos that people have made and seeing some of the cards that are in the cases and listening to what's selling. And I'm like, I got all that stuff. I got all that stuff and then more, and like the things I don't really want to sell are more of my high end slabs, like PSA 10, low pop, extremely expensive, stuff that's kind of hard to find. That's the stuff I don't want to sell, because that's part of my, personal collection. But from my understanding, and at least listening to some people, those higher end cards are actually what sell the worst at those events. So I wouldn't even have to really worry about like bringing inventory from my personal collection. I feel like it's an all around win-win. But but like I said, I'm not vending at Denver. If I ever did vend, it would definitely have to be within driving, like within a distance that I could drive to it, because I would just load up my car and just go there with boxes of stuff. And, you know, like I said, I just fire sale most of the stuff because it'd be pretty easy. That's just something I thought about. But yeah, so that's the first thing. And but it's a part of this community too. So when I talk to you guys, when we sit in our like little bubble, and that's what we're doing, right? In a way, channels like this, other YouTube channels, again, we're like in this same little bubble, right? And in order to go to a collecticon, like maybe we could get out of that bubble a little bit, because I was listening to, like some people talk and the conversations they were having and saying that like some people would pull up comps, some people wouldn't pull up comps, like for us, when do you buy a card and like not look at comps? When do you just like look at the price and then just pull the trigger and buy? Like for me, that's not something I would ever do. I mean, most of the comps like I would know in my head for cards that I'm, actively buying, because usually I'm looking at them on a day to day and, trying to track auctions, trying to, track PWCC sales and stuff like that, things hoping to get a good deal, and often passing on stuff because prices are extremely subjective in this hobby. Like, what do I consider a good price versus what do some other people? But to get out of that bubble is something I'm looking forward to too, because we always make the joke, or at least I always make the joke, talk about like, Charizard V the Charizard V Black Star promo from the Champions Path ETBs. I always say like, looking at the prices for PSA 10s or CGC 9.5s or CGC 9s and stuff like that, and just never really like understanding like who is the end buyer for this? Who's the guy buying this slab, putting into their PC? And that's just something I could never get to, because my argument always would be, you could have bought that ETB for like a huge amount of time, opened it yourself, had yourself some nice Champions Path packs, send that promo yourself for grading, and by now you would have at least at a low end got probably a PSA 9, and maybe you got the 10 you want, and you wouldn't have to open a lot. Those promos were selling for $10, just like the normal blah 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 like conversation we have all the time about such a ridiculous card. But at events like that, you got people out there who are buying those cards, so it gets us out of this bubble. And I think in order to get out of the bubble, to like get good perspective, will just make us better overall in this hobby. Now, one of the things about this live that's going to be a little different is it's not going to go on for a long time. One, I know there's a couple people out there don't like those absolutely crazy 4 hour chats. So this one's going to be kept around like that 20-25 minute mark. But one of the reasons I want to do this is directly after this live at 9:20. So like 8 minutes from now, I'm going to be live on Josh's, the DaGreens Shiz. He does his weekly PWCC auction breakdown. And all I'm going to be doing is just hanging out, looking at some of the PWCC auctions, talking about some of the prices, like what am I buying? What prices do I think are good prices? Stuff like that. And just see like, what are people buying on PWCC? And Josh does a great job of doing that by himself. And this will be the first time he ever has a guest coming on. And I'm sure there's a couple people in the chat he would also like love to have on too. And while we're there, I'm sure I'll ask Josh about Long Beach and his experience at Collecticon. I know he was sharing a booth with Nick Old School Pokemon, stuff like that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And I always like Josh. He's one of my, favorite people in this hobby. And he's just a great overall dude. And his subscriber account is like criminally low at this point. So as soon as this live is up, I recommend you guys all heading over to Josh's PWCC live. Right now in the description of the video is a link to that live. So just come hang out, chat. I guess you call it like a mini raid or whatever. Like I know this live's not going to have a ton of people on after 30 minutes, but if you guys all just want to come, keep chatting, keep hanging out, and look at some PWCC auctions with us. But that's what I want to do first. Or that's what I'm going to do. But first, like I said, when we started this video, we didn't do the giveaway from our last podcast. We were supposed to from the previous podcast. So we're going to do that right now, real time. I'm just going to share my screen. So let's see. So I'm gonna share just gonna share my screen. Good luck to everybody who put a comment on the video on the not last week's or not on Friday's video, but the previous month with like the 12 people that showed up. Let's see. Share screen. YouTube random comment. Share. All right. So right now you should see on the screen the random comment picker. So we're going to go right to here. So first of all, thank you guys for every single one of you guys that commented. I know there was a lot of people. We had 10,722 views. So this is a channel that has less than 4,000 subscribers. And we managed to pull out close to 11,000, watchers of this video. The watch hours of this, absolutely crazy. 697 likes. Like, this is the most likes I've ever had on a video. So thank you guys very much. So what I'm going to do is copy this link. We're going to go to the YouTube random comment picker. Enter the video URL. Paste. So there's that. We're going to filter duplicate users and include replies to comments. Yes, I guess. As long as filter duplicate users should show that. So get YouTube comments. Sorry. What does that mean? Oh, wait, you have to do this. 8 plus 9, 17. Get YouTube comments. So it's pulling all the comments right now. So amount of unique comments were 343. Start raffle and pick a winner. So Daniel Levine, he said the Ocean's 12 of Pokemon Epic. So Daniel, I should say, Levine, congratulations. So you did win. I'll go back to here. Stop sharing. So Daniel, all you got to do is message me on Instagram. I'm just going to give you a 5-digit code. And then I'm going to say to you, all you got to do is go to that comment, edit that comment by putting in that 5-digit code at the end, just so I know it was you. It was you who wrote it. So that would just be like the way I'm able to know. And then I'll send me over your address. I'll shoot it over to Cool Trainer Ryan. I think Cool Trainer Ryan decided on like an Arceus blister pack, if I remember correctly, or something like that. I know it was a platinum era set, but I want to say it was Arceus blister. So that's what you're going to get. So congratulations, man. Let's see. We got another 3 minutes before the live with Josh, the Green Shiz. So I see we got Drew, Chris, Brad, Basic. Good to see you guys. Tap Rock Bang. Good to see all you guys. See, we got Shadowless Jack. He said, you, Ryan, and Rattle is plenty. Incredible, man. Appreciate that. Anyone else just makes it more insane. Yeah. I see Rattle's in the chat. Good to see you, Rattle. We got Pokekid 92. Thrifty TCG. Good to see you guys. I hope all you guys are going to be able to make it over to the Green Shiz's live at 9:20. We're going to be going live. The description or the links in the description below. I got Thrifty in here. Mason just saying mew, 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 mew instead of meow, meow, meow. I like it. Got Ancient Mew. Don't really see any questions, to be honest. Just Matthew S. said, congrats, Daniel. Yeah. So we got Professor Oak in the chat. Yeah. So we got like 2 more minutes before the Green Shiz's live PWCC. So I'm just going to exit out of this now. And this, like I said, the big reason I want to do this was just because we totally forgot to do the giveaway. So mainly that's what tonight was for. And it's going to be short for a lot of people. But yeah, you guys are all awesome. The community's awesome. I can't say enough. Appreciate every single one of you guys. And I'll catch you over on the Green Shiz's video. Good night, everyone.